You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
And we're proud in all of the measures we've taken economically to empower women, especially in the workplace. You see what's happening.
Yes, we see what's happening. One empowered woman is a porn star, and she is now suing the president. Better words than war between the U.S. and North Korea. And what do you do with tariffs on aluminum and steel? What does that mean for the economy? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Conan. Welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the week in Washington in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. The question tonight is not if the legislature and the governor will do something in response to the shooting in Parkland. It's do you agree with the bill that Governor Rick Scott has now signed into law? The legislation includes spending $400 million on mental health screening and services and school hardening. The bill also includes funds to raise and rebuild the freshman building where the shooting took place. The bill will also raise the age from 18 to 21 and impose a 3-day waiting period for the purchase of rifles. But the most controversial part of the bill will allow specially trained teachers and staff members to take guns into schools in school districts that opt into the plan.
I know that many wanted more gun control than what is included in this bill. And I know that many believe this bill has too much gun control. I respect the sincerity and the validity of both of these viewpoints.
I wish I could tell you that I'm happy, but how could we be happy? We buried his sister, and I buried my daughter. To me, this is a start for us.
The National Rifle Association is now filing a federal lawsuit this afternoon against Florida to block the law signed by the governor prohibiting gun sales to anyone between the ages of 18 and 21. Sarasota police have arrested nearly 50 street-level drug dealers after a 9-month undercover operation. Detectives followed community tips and complaints to make undercover drug transactions. Most of the transactions taking place near 4 intersections in North Sarasota. 53 people were charged in the investigation, but police are still on the hunt for 4 people who are at large. Police Chief Bernadette DePino says many were caught selling near schools, parks, and daycares.
They are selling it in probably some of the most vulnerable areas within our community, near our kids that are playing in parks, near our kids that are going to school every day.
I feel comfortable saving here, except, when they come in this area to do their business. That's the only time, because you never know what's going to jump off.
The 53 dealers identified in this investigation have over 1,000 prior felony charges between them. The investigation resulted in 93 new felony criminal charges, and according to police, 2 people are facing federal prosecution. This weekend marks 6 months since Hurricane Irma slammed into the Suncoast. Since then, city and county leaders have been going over what worked and what needs improvement. One area they're focusing on is hurricane evacuation shelters in Venice. During Irma, no county-run shelters were open. The county was worried it may be too dangerous on the island. Now the plan is to bus people to shelters in other parts of Sarasota County until a hurricane shelter can be identified.
As we identify a building that can be rated to be safe during Category 4, we're going to move forward to make that happen as quickly as possible.
Next Wednesday, the Emergency Services Director is expected to present new plans for the next hurricane season to county commissioners. Early voting starting tomorrow for the March 20th elections in Manatee and Sarasota counties. The election includes the school district and ad valorem millage on both counties. During the early voting period, voters can cast their ballots at any of 3 election offices in Sarasota, Venice, or Northport. And in Manatee County, early voting will open tomorrow for the school board and Longboat Key elections, as well as the elections offices in Bradenton or at the Longboat Key Town Hall. In an issue that drew widespread attention during this year's legislative session, the House gave final approval today to a measure largely blocking minors from getting married in Florida. Under a compromise between the House and Senate, state law would bar people under 18 from getting marriage licenses, but it would include an exception for 17-year-olds who have written consent from their parents or guardians. The legislation emerged because of the story of a 58-year-old Sherry Johnson, who said she was forced to marry her adult rapist at age 11 after giving birth to a child.
feel like so much of a hero. I actually feel like I've done something that I needed to do for our children. Yes, I accomplished a lot of things, but my goal was to protect our children, and I feel that my mission has been accomplished. It's not about me. I survived.
The House voted 109-1 to pass the compromise, which was unanimously approved on Monday by the state Senate. Nursing homes will get a $130 million bump in Medicaid payments, and residents will live in the facilities will get nearly a 25% increase in monthly stipend that they can use for personal needs under a state budget deal finalized this week. The additional money comes at the same time the legislature is requiring nursing homes to have generators and enough fuel to cool facilities during emergencies. That requirement results from the deaths of residents at a Broward County nursing home after Hurricane Irma.
They don't have lobbyists. They're not a special interest. They just have folks like, all of us here in the legislature to fight for them.
The budget will then go to Governor Rick Scott, who has line item veto power. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Alan, thanks. We have had a beautiful afternoon and a gorgeous sunset this evening. KCK webcam showing a little calmer conditions out there in the waters. We still had seas up to around 2 to 3 feet at times with a moderate chop, and we also have effects of red tide being felt up and down the coast. We have a new updated report from the FWC coming out. We'll show you that in just a little bit. Currently, we have clear skies and 59 degrees, so it's cooling down quickly already, 59. And with the dew point at 41, the humidity is low at 51%. The barometer is high, 30-15. That continues to rise at this hour. A lot of clouds down to our south, and there's a system developing in the Gulf of Mexico, a rather fast-acting system, which could bring us some rainfall tomorrow afternoon and evening, more so to our south. But through this evening, we're looking at fair skies and temperatures dropping pretty quickly, 11 o'clock down into the low 50s. So if you're heading out the doors this evening, you're going to need a jacket and sweater, especially if you come back around 11. 59 degrees now, the current temperature in Sarasota, 58 in Tallahassee, and those winds are basically with a sea breeze developing out of the west within a couple of miles of the coast, still out of the east, though, inland areas, and that goes the same for Harbor Heights there out of the east-northeast. But notice the west winds at Minnesota Beach, and those west winds are bringing some red tide, at least the harmful impacts on shore. You can see those numbers now, anywhere from very, very low to medium concentrations, and those low to medium concentrations do cause fish kills, and we've had some reports of fish kills now on area beaches. Minnesota Beach, we also have at Casperson up to Lido, some people reporting dead fish as a result of the red tide, which seems to be getting worse, Alan, so we have to monitor this over the upcoming days.
And we had such a tough time with it last year. I hope it's not a repeat.
I do too, believe me.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, what a meeting between President Trump and North Korea's Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. What it means for us.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 70.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
My youngest, Addie, was 2.5. She was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. Walking in that Light the Night light with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. It's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer gold lanterns. Your lantern will make a difference.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Even top advisors at the White House didn't see it coming.
President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong-un by May to achieve permanent denuclearization.
President Trump agreeing to making history by accepting an invitation for a face-to-face meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. The move is yet another example of the unpredictable and often chaotic nature of the Trump administration. The unprecedented decision made within hours of a South Korean delegation arriving at the White House. The president himself making a surprise visit to the White House press briefing room to tease the policy shift that his own Secretary of State was unaware of hours before it was made.
In terms of the decision to engage between President Trump and Kim Jong-un, that's a decision the president took himself.
The abrupt adjustment to American foreign policy offered a welcome distraction to a White House and a president under fire from accusations of an extramarital affair with porn star Stormy Daniels. Daniels, who was paid $130,000 by Trump lawyer Michael Cohen before the election to keep quiet about her alleged relationship with Mr. Trump, is now suing the president, asking a court to declare the non-disclosure agreement she signed invalid. The White House has said the president denies the affair and knew nothing about Cohen's agreement with Daniels. Today, it was revealed that Cohen used a Trump org email to communicate with Daniels' then attorney while negotiating the NDA. The White House refused to engage on the topic.
We've addressed this extensively, and I don't have anything else to add.
The hasty announcement on North Korea mirrors the president's decision-making process on steel tariffs. Despite being advised by top aides to reconsider the move, the president forged ahead and went public with his decision. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said with Donald Trump in charge, anything is possible.
The president's in a great mood. The president's been in a great mood because we've had not just a successful couple of days, we've had a successful year.
The White House says the meeting will not take place unless North Korea takes concrete actions towards dismantling its nuclear program. In a moment, a Suncoast Republican, a Democrat, and the man who wrote the book about the presidency.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch ABC7 wherever you are, on our live stream, on mysuncoast.com, on the ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, dining with recipes, and My Suncoast Restaurant Guide. Visit mysuncoast.com. Click on the Apps tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for Apple and Android.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Our nation's servicemen and women show great courage and leadership both on and off the battlefield. When they transition to civilian life, they can apply the skills and values they learned in the military to the workplace. That's why the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is urging employers everywhere to be smart, bet on a vet. Hiring a veteran is also a great way to show your appreciation for them. To learn more, call 1-888-44-SALUTE.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Give today at force.uso.org.
My name is Blake. I received a heart transplant when I was 2 weeks old. I play defense for the Red Hot Tornadoes. Sometimes my heart starts pounding like faster and faster as I go. I know I have someone else's heart inside me. It makes me feel happy because someone was generous enough to give me a second chance to live.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Welcome back. So what does a porn star, a crazy North Korean leader with nuclear weapons, and a guy named Cohn have in common? The answer, Donald Trump. Weird week. In case you were wondering, Cohn is Gary Cohn, not Alan Cohn, President Trump's chief economic advisor, who is quitting over the president's imposing tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, a move that might be popular with the base, but not with a lot of folks in the Republican Party. Then there is the surprise announcement Trump will meet with Rocket Man, North Korea's leader, and maybe the biggest bombshell, questions over the president's lawyer paying a porn star to keep her mouth shut a week before the election. Joining us for more is Melissa Howard of the Sarasota Republican Party, Mike Schlasko, Sarasota Democratic State Committeeman, and Mark Weston, author of The Runner-Up Presidency. Welcome to you all. And first, let me get your take and the take of Democrats and Republicans around here about this news that President Trump is going to meet with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Melissa, no president has done that since 1953. And what you hear is the North Koreans have always wanted that, but from Eisenhower to Obama, the answer was always no.
I don't agree. I think it's great. What negative could come from it? I mean, you have to, didn't South Korea, when's the last time North Korea met with South Korea? 20-something years, and now they're meeting as well. So, I mean, our president is a great negotiator. Whether you like him or not, you have to give him that. So, I think it's a positive, actually.
Mike, I did hear a lot of Democrats in the last 24 hours saying, you know, give credit where credit is due. Talking is better than warmongering on both sides?
Talking is certainly better than name-calling and certainly better than warmongering. However, I would not agree that this is a good move. It was a shotgun, seat-of-the-pants kind of decision, not well thought out, not in consultation with the State Department. We have a North Korean dictator, and our president seems to enjoy meeting with dictators. We have a North Korean dictator who has been itching to get credibility by sitting down as an equal with the President of the United States. He may have a few nuclear weapons, but he is not an equal, and I don't think we should give him the world stage, which is what he wants.
Mark, what about that? Right now, the Secretary of State was not even aware that this was going to take place. We don't even have an ambassador to South Korea, and our national security advisor, General McMaster, is supposedly on his way out the door.
This is the core danger. Usually when leaders get together, 90% of the issues have already been resolved by underlings. We don't even have an ambassador in South Korea. But 90% of the issues have already been resolved, and then the leaders get together and make a few final concessions. So the leaders, when they get together, they know where the negotiations are going. We do not even know yet. For example, I think Sarah Huckabee today talked about wanting to totally denuclearize North Korea. I think this is extremely unlikely. The North Koreans are probably going to say, as long as we don't have a payload capable of going to the continental U.S., that should be enough for you. Would we want missiles to be capable of going to Alaska and Hawaii, for example? And that might be enough. The North Koreans would say, you know, you all are off the table. We still want nukes in Asia. Would Trump agree to that? We don't know yet. But the danger is these two leaders are getting together where we don't know where the negotiations are going. Nothing's been resolved yet. And if it goes badly, if nothing gets agreed on, it's highly possible that Trump may decide, you know, I tried talking to them, now let's have military action. So the danger is that it might actually increase the chances of things going very badly.
Right, Melissa, I wanted to ask you about that because it was President Trump himself said we could talk potentially, but the question will be is what will happen when we run out of road? Are you concerned that if this does not go correctly, then the only option after that would be some kind of military action?
Maybe, but you have to try. I mean, being Jewish, I've been to Israel. They're surrounded by enemies. So, I mean, do you think Israel shouldn't try to talk to any of their neighbors? I mean, look, he has an unprecedented opportunity. Everybody is so negative, and we're making a lot of assumptions here that we don't know actually what's gone on to some degree. So, no, I personally, I think a lot of good could come out of it. Yes, it could be bad, but I think he has to try.
All right, we have to take a quick break. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the week in Washington right after we check out the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Alex Karras Lincoln's 40th anniversary sale. Please join us in welcoming the two newest additions to the Lincoln lineup, our flagship luxury sedan, the 2018 Lincoln Continental, and the totally redesigned 2018 Lincoln Navigator, featuring 450 horsepower, 10-speed transmission, and many best-in-class features. Alex Karras Lincoln, where our mission statement is consistent commitment, every client, every time. Located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny Be Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
You now have the power to prioritize your Facebook feed and get local news and information from the team you trust. Go to the ABC7 Sarasota page on Facebook. Give us a like, then click following and choose See First. That's it. Customize even more by choosing notifications. Choose breaking news, posts, live videos, anything you want to see in real time. Take control of your newsfeed and stay connected to what's happening in your community with ABC7 on Facebook.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
Our conversation on the week in Washington continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Good evening, Alan, and good evening, everyone. We are watching a beautiful sunset tonight out on Casey Key. Wave action has come down. The rip current's no longer a problem here along area beaches. The big problem is red tide. We talked about that earlier, and we're watching that spread northward and become a little bit more intense along the area beaches with some fish kills going on, as I mentioned, near Minnesota Beach, Casperson Beach, Venice, and even up to Lido. Just a few, not a lot, but we have to watch it closely. Richard Marr sending this one on Siesta Key. Looking nice this evening. A beautiful sunset. Folks getting ready to enjoy the weekend. We hope it sticks around as far as that clear sky goes, but I think that's going to change a little bit as we approach late Saturday afternoon, and then again on Sunday and into Sunday night, Monday. Could be a little bit on the wet side. Models are confused now. There's a couple of different scenarios being played out. The European forecast model is suggesting a little bit more rainfall tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening across parts of South Florida. 59 right now. Dew point is at 41. That's low. That means our low tonight will be cold once again. We had 47 to start things off this morning. That was well below the average. In fact, 45 at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport, 46 I should say. 71 is our high today. 75 is our normal. 56 is our average low temperature. We were 10 degrees below that to start things off this morning. This area of high pressure continues to slip off to the east. This is the forecast. You can see on Saturday, look at this, a large area of heavy rainfall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon depicted by this model, and then it pushes off to the east. So I think most of the rain will stay to our south. I think the big factor will be the potential for some thunderstorms on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. And this is from the Storm Prediction Center, which puts out this graphic. It shows we're in a marginal risk, which means not a real big chance for severe weather, but it's there nonetheless. And there is also an isolated chance of a tornado with one or two of the cells that approach the coast on Sunday and Sunday evening. So that chance is very small at 5%. We'll watch it for you. Rainfall forecast also varies quite a bit depending upon where the storm system moves in at. And generally, the heaviest rain will be felt to our south. We're talking maybe an inch, inch and a half near Fort Myers and places to the south, but most areas at a ½ inch or less into west central Florida. And really, that begins on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. So the forecast tomorrow, we're going to keep a slight chance for a shower or two after 3 o'clock with the heavier rain staying to our south. Temperatures will warm. A little bit warmer tomorrow. We're talking mid-70s. Today's highs were only into the upper 60s to low 70s. Will be a little bit warmer. You'll notice that tomorrow afternoon, but it will be a cool start. So if you have some early morning plans, be advised that it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. Lows, as I said, tonight will be into the upper 40s to low 50s. This is the European forecast model showing Saturday, for the most part, looking dry, although by 3 o'clock, we're on the northern edge of the heavier rainfall, which appears to be falling to our south. And there could be some potential thunderstorms down there, but by the evening, still a chance for a few light showers. It'll be, again, on the northern edge of that large area of heavy rainfall. And then on Sunday afternoon, although this model not depicting it much, the GFS is, there's a better chance for some showers and thunderstorms to move on through. So a lot to be determined yet. So stay close and keep your weather app with you. The ABC7 weather app will have complete updates on that over the weekend. Seas 2 to 3 feet with a moderate chop out there on the bays and inland waters. Here's the extended forecast. As we see it, cold start tomorrow, 49 degrees. Will warm to 73 in the afternoon. A rain chance at 30%. Be sure to spring forward 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday. Daylight saving time. And then first alert weather day for the potential for some strong storms. A 60% chance of that happening into the evening. Monday, it could still linger a little bit, 40% chance for rain, and notice the cooler temperatures. So we're going to stay with a cooling trend through Friday of next week. But the long-range model does suggest warmer weather is going to return next weekend. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Well, now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
One of the motivating factors for me to become a Big Brother was that I was mentored as a youth. And it was important for me to kind of pass forward the things that were kind of given to me. It's really just as simple as getting to know a kid. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have any of those other things. You just have to be willing to spend a little time and help mold some young person's life.
Welcome back. We're talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more is Melissa Howard of the Sarasota Republican Party, Mike Schlasko, Sarasota Democratic State Committeeman, and Mark Weston, author of The Runner-Up Presidency. It's time to talk about some stormy weather. Stormy Daniels, the porn star, And Melissa, I'm going to start with you because I would assume that you're going to say, you know, this may have been a moral failing of the president, but there are far more important issues, which I don't think anybody would disagree with, except for the fact we're talking about a payoff to keep a person not from talking just 2 weeks before the presidential election. And that's raising a lot of questions.
That happens all the time. Give me a break. I don't care about what some broke porn star is going to say about the president. I really don't. And I mean, when it happened 10 years ago, even if it did, of course you don't want some porn star coming out to talk, even if it were true. I don't believe it is, but yeah, there's many more things we need to be talking about.
The question is whether the $130,000 that Michael Cohen paid from his own personal funds to keep Stormy Daniels quiet amounts to a contribution to the Trump campaign, and whether that violates federal election laws.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Mike?
I personally believe that it does violate federal election laws, but I also personally am disgusted that when I turn on the news every morning, I have another story that speaks to the total lack of moral leadership in the President of the United States. Think about it. We get up in the morning, we turn on the news, and what do we hear? We hear a porn star and the President of the United States duking it out in court over a non-disclosure agreement filed just before an election with a payoff involved. Now, this is just not something that should be happening in the United States of America. It's beneath the dignity of the office.
You know, with Mark, with some exception, Republicans on Capitol Hill have been pretty quiet about it. They have not been talking about it. A few have raised some questions about it, but you can't help but wonder if it would be a much different story if it was the porn star and Barack Obama.
Absolutely. I mean, the roof would have fallen in. One of the things that's happened this week is that this is now in the courts. The courts are going to decide whether this non-disclosure agreement is valid or invalid, whether the arbitration was valid or invalid. That means that both sides in a court proceeding can have discovery. Once it's in the courts don't let it go. It's like the Paula Jones case with Bill Clinton. It will stay in the courts for months, if not even a year or two. And we will learn more and more as it goes on, but once it's in the courts, it stays there.
Melissa, you said give me a break, but if this was Barack Obama, do you think that Republicans in Washington would be making a much bigger deal?
I don't think it would even be news because nobody would dare. You couldn't say anything. But let me just say, I guarantee you there's some payoffs that Democrats have given her in order for her to come out publicly. So let's see what happens.
Well, I mean, Bill Clinton and the intern certainly got a little bit of press.
Yes.
Obama,
it was different.
Anyone?
Well, Obama was faithful to his wife. You know,
I'm sure we don't know. We're assuming things here. It's not proven just because you pay somebody pay somebody off. Thousands of people have been paid off to keep their mouth shut. And he didn't pay her directly.
Well, he has not denied that this took place.
Yes, he has. Yes, he did.
The payments, I must have missed that on television.
No, he publicly denied it, yes.
When?
No, I don't think he has. No.
Well, Sarah Huck, all of his people that speak on his behalf have denied it.
She has said, not to my knowledge, no, which is called a non-denial denial.
Okay, not to my knowledge, no. Okay, well, I would take that as no, it didn't happen.
Today it's come out that the communications that led to the payoff, the emails were from the Trump organization. So the lawyer, Michael Cohen, can no longer say it was just something he did out of the goodness of his heart because he's sending emails from a Trump server.
Why would a lawyer pay someone independently of their client? Usually lawyers don't cough up their own money to pay off somebody to not talk.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if the president was aware of this. I mean, he clearly didn't pay him himself, so I don't, like you said, it's going to be in the court system, so there's going to be a discovery period, and we're going to see what the truth is.
Okay. Let's talk about tariffs and aluminum, something not as controversial, I don't know. But Melissa, we had an interesting panel last night where Republicans, by and large, are free traders. They don't want to get into tariffs and trade wars. The question is whether this is something that appeals to the president's base, but it's clearly not appealing to members of the Republican Party, at least in Congress.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this is a point of negotiation. As I said, he's a master negotiator. I don't think this is going to be the end game. I mean, I think he kept Mexico and Canada out of it to better negotiate the NAFTA terms with them. If you look at the big picture, I think the global economic impact of the tariffs is $9 billion when, total global GDP is 19 trillion. So it's, less than 0.5%. So I think people are blowing it out of proportion.
Mike, let me ask you this question, because the trade unions have been asking for something like this for years. Why aren't more Democrats supporting it?
Actually, a large number of Democrats are supporting it, but not in the form that was announced by the president. I happen to have been born in Cleveland, a steel town. My father was a steel worker and an aluminum worker and a union organizer. So I personally understand how the people in these towns feel about what's happened, about how our core industry has been eviscerated by poor trade policy. That being said, we can't not have trade. It's a small world. You can, in fact, I have been to Moscow walking in Red Square and have run into someone that I know from New York. So we cannot build walls. The master negotiator has not gotten the Mexicans to build a wall yet. We need to negotiate fair trade policies, and we need to think ahead before we start arbitrarily raising tariffs.
Mark, there's been some talk on Capitol Hill. Jeff Flake, the Republican from Arizona, saying that he would be introducing legislation to basically nip this in the bud. But in the end, do you think Congress will do anything?
No, the president has a lot of authority with tariffs. I'm not sure that Congress, unless they pass a law that's passed by both houses, can. And the tariff will make more Americans lose jobs. It's fine for the steel and aluminum industry, so it's terrible for the automobile industry and the beer industry. Bush had a 30% tariff. Second Bush had a 30% tariff in his first term, and he withdrew it because they found it was making Americans lose jobs, and that's not even counting the retaliation that will come.
One more area. We have like 2 minutes left in this segment, but Mr. Nunberg, the former Trump campaign aide who went on just about every TV show except for ours this past week, saying that he wasn't going to testify to the grand jury. He believes that the president may have done something wrong. He did show up at the federal courthouse today to testify, and this comes just a day after this.
Hey, traitor, here's your flag. Russian's flag. Traitor! Traitor! You're selling out America.
Another tough day for President Trump's former campaign chair, Paul Manafort. He is charged with additional tax charges. Melissa, what do you make of this really wild week between Sam Nunberg and more charges against Paul Manafort?
Well, I don't think it's a direct reflection on the president. I honestly hadn't been following that story, so it hasn't been on the news I've been watching very much. So.
Got to watch more than just Fox News.
Yes, well, I do, I promise.
Okay. Mike, basically, Mr. Nunberg was kind of a sad character, but he did make some pretty severe or serious allegations.
He made serious allegations. I'll leave it to Special Counsel Mueller to determine how real those allegations are. I think this steady drip, drip, drip of information, of indictments, is pointing more and more toward the Oval Office.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, but we'll be back for final thoughts in just a moment.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off
off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And according to a new poll, Democrats have regained a pretty sizable lead in the generic ballot, Republican versus Democrat. Melissa, you were really critical of your party in terms of the loss in House 72. What does your party have to do differently as we go into some really consequential midterm elections?
Well, I mean, if you look at why we lost, the money she spent was 2-1. And she had a better ground game than we did. I got texts, I'm not even Democrat, like, we've learned, trust me, on what we need to do better. But if you look at the races, you know, I'm in Manatee. I mean, Will Robinson is a given. I believe Vanessa Baugh, the chairman of the Manatee County Commissioner, is going to be running. Again, no chance there. In Venice, we've got a few options. I don't think anybody's announced yet. And then you've got Ray Pilon that's going to be running, he's going to be running to get his seat back against Margaret.
Mike, when we talk about House 72, we're talking about, you know, an area that Republicans had a slight lead. But when you're talking about south of Clark Road in your neck of the woods, it's a pretty heavy lift. So, I mean, do Democrats realistically have any hope in capturing whether it's Julio Gonzalez's seat or any other seat down there, including the congressional seat?
Yeah, I think absolutely we do have hope. The congressional seat is probably the heaviest lift, but we are talking about a level of enthusiasm in the Democratic base that I've never seen before. And that enthusiasm in House District 72 didn't translate into just a win, it was a blowout.
All right, Mark, and let me ask you this, you know, different parts of the country, we're seeing something like 25-point changes from Republican to Democrat. Is it fair for Democrats to hope that, geez, that could happen here in places like, you know, the congressional seat that's being held either by Vern Buchanan or Tom Rooney?
Vern Buchanan, possibly. Margaret Good's state legislative seat had gone for Trump by 4.5 points, and then it went for her by 4.5 points. So that's a 9-point shift. I think that's more realistic. A 9-point shift would be enough to defeat Vern Buchanan. It would not be enough to have a Democrat be elected in Rooney's district.
All right, and we'll have to leave it there. Thank you all. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired, just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Melissa Howard of the Sarasota Republican Party, Mike Schlasko of the Sarasota Democratic State Committee man, and Mark Weston, the author of The Runner-Up Presidency. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus new details in the Russia investigation. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
I actually started playing the game at 11 years old, so I started a little bit later than most players. But I was actually raised on Fighting Joe. The value here at Robert Trent Jones is unsurpassable. I mean, I have looked to other places. I've traveled all the way across the country. Everything is perfect as far as everything is the golf course, the rolling of the greens. Everything that I've encountered has just been absolutely incredible. And for the money that you spend, for the value that you actually get, it is unsurpassable. I'd recommend it for anybody.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Want the latest weather and traffic conditions wherever you go? Introducing ABC7's revolutionary new First Alert weather app. With our state-of-the-art new weather app, you get up-to-the-minute weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, real-time traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download onto all your devices today. Sponsored by Mr. Sparky.
Every week on Animal Outtakes, it's a new animal adventure. This week on Animal Outtakes, the process of milking cows is not like it used to be. We're taking a trip to a dairy farm. Join us this week on ABC7.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Good evening, everyone, and a beautiful afternoon it was after a very cold start this morning, for Florida standards anyway. Into the mid to upper 40s, a little bit of a breeze out there, keeping it chill this morning. But boy, a nice finish. Get a look at the Casey Key webcam in review from around 3 o'clock this afternoon up until 7:19. And boy, just a spectacular sunset tonight with some high clouds off in the distance. Looking nice there. Viewer photo sent in Terracea Bay. Susan Humphreys getting this little shot just before the sun dipped below the horizon. Well, the Northeast, not looking at sunsets, but boy, just heavy snowfall over the past 7 days now. They've had 2 nor'easters, one still winding down right now with snow over parts of Maine. Still some snow showers into Vermont, New Hampshire, and also New York, Pennsylvania, and even in New Jersey, getting some snowfall there. Another storm system, at least according to one model, expected to really generate and get going over the weekend and move up into the Northeast by Tuesday of next week. For us, there's a fast-moving storm system. Most of it will miss to the south on Saturday, but there's a chance some of that could reach up into Sarasota County in the afternoon, and less of a chance in Manatee County. Currently, it's chilly out there, 59 degrees at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. Bradenton reporting 57, 62 in Venice, and again, the forecast, this particular model showing a large area of heavy rainfall. Now, this seems to be resolving itself now with the heavier rainfall staying mainly to the south and east of us on Saturday, and then progressing toward Fort Myers, Naples, and places to the east of the state. Now, this is for Sunday. This is from the Storm Prediction Center, which is showing this area in green that you see right here on the marginal scale for the potential for some severe storms. Now, that's not all that great. There's a chance we could see 1 or 2 storms. It's a large area, too, so there's still a lot of confusion in the forecast modeling as to where exactly these storms will set up. But we're on the tip of it, in the southern edge of it on Sunday for the potential for tornadoes, too. That chance at 5% now, at 5% for a possibility of an isolated tornado with some of the cells that do develop on Sunday. The forecast tomorrow, I'll keep a slight chance for a shower in the afternoon and evening on Saturday, but most areas will stay dry through the majority of the day on Saturday. Looks to be good, with temperatures a little bit warmer, too. We're talking highs in the mid-70s as opposed to the upper 60s to low 70s like we saw today. This is another shot of the European forecast model. This will be updated at 3 a.m., and so we'll see if it's going to shift a little bit further south as far as that rain goes. You can see we'll be in that light rain area with the heaviest rain near Fort Myers and places to the south. It gets close to South Sarasota County tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, but this is, again, just one model, and this is just kind of recently flared up now lately, so the next model will be an important one to see indeed if it does show that. And then the actual cold front is due to arrive on into late Sunday and into Monday. For boaters, it shapes up like this tomorrow. Southeast winds turn to the south. We'll start off at 15 knots, subsiding to 5 to 10 late in the day. Now, there may be a bit of a swell out there with that system developing in the Gulf. Seas running 2 to 3 feet with a moderate chop on the bays and inland waters. The water temperature now 69 degrees. That's really dropped in just the last week. Last week at this time, it was in the upper 70s. The UV index will be an 8, at least during the morning, and then going down to about a 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Partly cloudy and warmer tomorrow with a chance for showers in the afternoon. 74 for your high, and the extended forecast is calling for a cool start tomorrow, 49. And then a 60% chance for showers and a few thunderstorms on Sunday, mainly in the afternoon and evening, lingering somewhat on Monday, and then turning cooler for the work week next week into the upper 60s for the most part. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
My name is Stephen Campagna. We're Ben Gates and Dramus, and here is your law tip of the week. If you've been injured or arrested, I know this feels like the end of the road, but really it's the beginning of a long, potentially stressful process. So give us a call, let us give you some peace of mind.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Here's today's job of the day. ABC7 is seeking a digital content manager to join our newsroom leadership team. CMS experience required. Visit mysuncoast.com/job-of-the-day to apply.
Checking primetime headlines now to the latest in the Russia investigation. After going on a media tirade saying he would refuse to respond to a subpoena by special counsel Robert Mueller, former Trump political advisor Sam Nunberg faced a grand jury today. ABC's Gloria Rivera has more from Washington.
After repeated defiance declaring he would not testify, former Trump political advisor Sam Nunberg faced special counsel Robert Mueller's grand jury today.
Mr. Nunberg, how do you feel about coming before the grand jury today?
In a media tear earlier this week, Nunberg made headlines, both denying and suggesting wrongdoing by his former boss, President Trump.
I think they may. I think that he may have done something during the election, but I don't know that for sure.
Why do you think that?
I can't explain it unless you're in there.
Nunberg caps a week of multiple former top aides in the spotlight under pressure. In D.C. on Thursday, former campaign manager Paul Manafort pleading not guilty to recently filed tax and bank fraud charges. On Capitol Hill at nearly the same time, Manafort's predecessor, Corey Lewandowski, answering hours of inquiry by congressional investigators.
Were you able to answer all the questions?
I answered every relevant question you could imagine. I just spent 12 hours of my life I'll never get back. There's no collusion, no cooperation, no coordination. Fact.
But Democrats say Lewandowski refused to fully cooperate, stonewalling on that Trump Tower meeting with Russians. Former FBI Director James Comey's firing and Trump's alleged consideration of firing Robert Mueller.
Witnesses don't get to pick and choose when it comes to very relevant testimony to our investigations.
That comment from the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Representative Adam Schiff, also wants 2 additional witnesses to return to offer further testimony on whether or not there was an effort to set up a back channel between Trump and the Kremlin. That is an allegation several witnesses have denied in the House investigation. Gloria Riviera, ABC News, Washington.
Pharma bro is now prison bro. A federal judge sentencing former pharmaceutical executive Martin Shkreli to 7 years in prison for fraud. Shkreli is best known for his time as a pharmaceutical CEO when he abruptly raised the price of a life-saving AIDS drug to $750 a pill. The incident drew a public backlash, but it was unrelated to the case which Shkreli was sentenced to today. He was convicted in August of defrauding investors at other companies out of more than $10 million in a Ponzi scheme. Earlier this week, he was ordered to forfeit roughly $7.4 million in assets. The man who attacked Kentucky Senator Rand Paul last year is pleading guilty to felony assault. A judge accepted Renee Boucher's guilty plea on charges of assaulting a member of Congress, resulting in personal injury. Boucher admitted to attacking Paul in November while the Kentucky Republican was mowing his yard. As part of a plea agreement, the government is recommending he face 21 months in a federal prison and a fine. Boucher is currently out of jail on a $25,000 unsecured bond. Florida school shooter Nicholas Cruz will continue to be held without bond. Appearing by video conference, Cruz hung his head as he stood next to his attorney at today's bond hearing. Police say Cruz admitted to opening fire at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last month, killing 17 people. On Wednesday, a grand jury charged him with 17 counts of premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder. The public defender says Cruz is willing to plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. This is Dave Levy's final broadcast as a director here at ABC7. For over 17 years, Dave has directed our shows with a steady hand and a calm voice. He is not leaving. Instead of punching the switcher, he'll be fixing it as our new engineer, and we wish him the best of luck. Thanks for everything, Dave. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Coe. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.